Welcome back, students. In today's video, we'll be seeing about more selectors. In the previous video, we discussed about selectors, different types of selectors like element selector, then class selector, ID selector. But today we'll be discussing about the other types of selectors which we generally use. And sometimes it proves to be much more handy and useful during CSS programming. So I'll be talking about those types of selectors. Now, to be specific, the different types of selectors which we'll be talking today will include pseudo selectors, number one. Then we'll be talking about some advanced selectors. Now, advanced selectors can be categorized into two types. One is some basic advanced selectors, and the other one is called as attribute selectors. So this is what we have to discuss today. Okay, so let us first prepare our environment. So let me start up the browser first. Okay, better we just open our page here. So in D drive, I have created a project called project, and the projects folder contains an HTML file, and I'll just open that HTML file directly on my web browser. So this is the page, and this is the code segment. Okay. So this was what we left in our previous lecture. We just discussed about the different types of selectors, and namely the three selectors which we talked about was element selector. Number two was your class selectors and your ID selector. So the important factor here is when we directly specify a tag name, then that will be an element selector. If we talk about a name preceding with a dot, this creates a class, and if it is preceded by a hash, it creates a ID selector. Now, there are certain things which we must know. For example, here the DOM, the document model, is something like I have a heading on the top, and I have two H2 tags. One is talking about what is HTML, other one is your elements and tags. Now we'll be focusing on this H2 tags first. Okay. Now let's say the color of this H2 tag is red, right? But when we talk about a pseudo selector is something like we want to specify something more on the particular tag. Like first pseudo selector which I would like to talk about is hover. Now hover is used just after we just give a full colon after the tag and then specify that particular pseudo selector hover. Now if I am specifying, okay, let H2 color be red by default, and then I say that when I hover my mouse on H2, then the color should turn to let's say gray. Okay, so I'll save this file. Now when I save, nothing happens actually, but when I move my cursor mouse to the H2 tag, then automatically it turns to gray. This particular selector, now I would like to change the color when the mouse is hovering on that particular tag. So this special selector is referred to as your hover selector. Now this is a special selector. Generally, hover is used on links like anchor tags, and anchor tags has two more special uh, pseudo selectors, which we should also discuss today. Now, for that, I need to create an anchor tag first. Now, let us move to the this HTML file. I'm creating a link somewhere below the first tag, the first H2 tag. This is A. A for stands for anchor tag. Then href is the reference which I would like to create. Here I would like to create a reference link for Google. So https google.go.in. So this is my anchor tag. Okay. So this is like google.com, Google link. So if I save it now, then automatically you will find that there is a link called Google link inside this. The by default color is blue only, right? Now, I would like to change something. I would like to add a break here. So this is my Google link. Okay, another break. Done. Now, there are certain things which I would like to do more. Like, what will be the default color of the link? Number one. What will be the color when the link is clicked? And what will be the color when the link is visited? So basically, there are three different segments. One is link, another one is hover, and the third one is visited. So let us talk about them one by one in our this cascading style sheet page. Now, here, first things first, A is my tag, full colon, hover. So when I move my cursor on the tag is link, it should change the color, right? So I would like to change the color to something else, right? So I would like to change the color to, let's say, yellow. Okay, this is my first requirement. Second, if the link is visited, yeah, the link by default, the link color, the default link color when it is not yet clicked, because once it is clicked, then it will always be visited, which will come. The color visited color will become. Obviously, browser have certain default colors inbuilt, and it is automatically maintained. Like the default link would be blue. When it is visited, it would become obviously purple. Okay, so I would like to change that thing from the link should be purple when it is for the when it is being displayed for the first time. Okay, so I need the link to be by default purple. When I hover it, it should turn to yellow. And when it is clicked and visited, I have moved to that site, I visited that site. Then I would like, then the color should be green. Okay, so color green. Now, let us first see the things. When I refresh the page, the default color turns to purple. When I click the link, over nothing happens. Yeah, it is changing to yellow somehow. No. So when I click this link, I move to google.co.in. I return back and come to see that the color has become green now. Now, how many times you refresh, it doesn't matter. Now the color has been green because it has been visited. So once a anchor tag is visited, the visited color will be taken into effect. So the link color will be lost, and generally we work with link and visited only, because hover is something which is currently not effective in some browsers, which we already saw here. So if I hover it here, the color is not changing. But when I hover it here, the color is changing. So anchor tag sometimes doesn't literally use that hover segment sometimes. Okay. So this is also a pseudo selector. And this is through which we can work with. Okay. Now, apart from hover, link, visited being some of the basic pseudo selectors, there are certain more pseudo selectors which are effective for childs. For example, if I have a tag which has some childs inside it. Let's say select can be a tag which contains options as child. uh, uh, Unordered and ordered lists can have childs. So let us first create an example of that sort and then we'll talk about it. So in the last segment, I'll just add some list here. List of friends. Okay. So this is simply an unordered list which I want to create. The first list item. So li, many li's will come. For example, Ricky. Then I can copy paste multiple. Array, Kelly, and Sam. So these are some of my friends. So let us list them up. So Ricky, Harry, Sal, and Kelly and Sam. Now the thing which I now want to discuss on pseudo selectors is we can have childs to be selected. We can select some childs if I want. For example, now UL, my tag is UL because that is where I have the child. So full colon and then give what thing. So first child and then give the styling which you want here. So I would like the color to be red here. So the first child color would automatically become uh, red. Save it and then refresh it. So what it is saying no, I don't think that UL will be having any childs. Why? Because the element name, see UL has childs, list child, but the tag which is linked to that particular child must be used. That means instead of UL, here we should use LI. Okay, so it will be first saying, okay, the LI child of anybody. Now that anybody can be a UL, can be a AL, can be anything, but it has to be a list item to be selected as a first child. Okay, so I need the first child. So first child is a pseudo selector which can be incorporated with a list item, which can be incorporated with option, which can incorporated with TR, which can also incorporated with TD. Now, anybody which can be multiple, which has a parent, number one, and number two can be used more than once, can have this particular feature. This particular selector can be used on that. So, if there is one first child, similarly, obviously it would have a last child also. Plus, so li last child like the color to be let's say I'm running short of colors, purple. Okay, and then run the code. So the first child color is red, the last child color is sap sorry, purple. Now there is another pseudo selector here where you can specify the color of uh, the nth child, a particular child, a number of child. For example, if I talk about the child Kelly, then Kelly is obviously the third child, right? So similarly, I would like to select Kelly and make it green. So what should I do? I should simply move to the next line. I should say li full colon nth child, and in brackets you have to give the child number, so 3, and then give your specification. So color full colon, I'm specifying it to be green. So now save it first of all, and then run the code. You can easily see that the Kelly has turned into green now. Ricky is red, Kelly is green, and Sam is purple. And the way I have selected them is using a pseudo selector. So whatever we are talking today are all pseudo selectors, and these are some of the, there are many more pseudo selectors, obviously, yes. But we are talking about those pseudo selectors which are used the most. So we'll be using them in our future programs. We will be using and we'll be needing them to be selected. We'll be needing them to be used in your program. It will be done. So these are the mostly used one. Now, apart from this, there is a one more pseudo selector which I would like to talk about, and that is called as only child. Now, if this will work only when this the tag has only a single child. Okay, by default it will not work. If there are more than one child, it will not work. So if I give it like li full colon only child, color, need to give a different color, let's say blue. Okay. Now if I refresh it, nothing happens. Why? Because it has more than one. Childs. So first of all, I need to reduce them. The number of names, I need to reduce them. So I'm deleting the last 3. Only Ricky is present here. I'm saving it and I'm running the code. Now see, automatically the color has turned to blue. Now irrespective of this, now the first child is red, but because only child is specified on the last, it will take up the last feature. So if you need to comment out some your styles, then simply select them and press Control/. Now this will automatically comment it, because there are certain things which would not like to happen. Like there are some specificity problems, like whatever property you are setting, and after that you have specified embedded style. Then obviously the embedded style will be taken up, and the general tag design will not be taken up, which we discussed in the previous lecture only. So this is what only child is all about. The only concept is the tag must have only single child, then only it will come into effect, otherwise not. So these are some of the mostly used your pseudo selectors. And now we would like to discuss on some of the advanced selectors. Now, when we talk about advanced selectors, then obviously there are many advanced selectors which we can talk about. Like, for example, if I would like to say H2 and then plus A. Now, what does this mean is, if a anchor tag follows the H2 tag, then the color of anchor tag would be something like this. Yeah, the effects and features would be something like this. So color, full colon, I'm saying red. So this red color will be for that anchor tag, which is just following a H2 tag. Okay. So in this example, we do have one example of that sort. But this is not doing. The work is not done. It is not happening so. Well, I don't know why. Why? Because the situation is correct. Try removing, uh, we'll try to remove this line changes here. Save it and then refresh, then also it doesn't matter. Okay, we have a paragraph in between. No worries, I'm cutting it out. Okay, now it's done. Now let's see what happens. It has been clashed. Okay, then something is happening. Like, okay, we need to. Yeah. So it was not happening. Why? Because it was just been overridden by the other pseudo tag selectors which we wrote here. So this is why the anchor tag was not giving the correct output. So this is plus sign. This plus sign indicates you can use more than one tags, add them up using the plus sign. Now this indicates that H2, the anchor tag will have a color red if it is followed by a H2 tag. Okay, this is what it is referencing. It is telling about. Now, apart from this, we can have the same feature with some input tags. Input tags means, let's say, let me design an input tag. There's a form tag here. We'll talk about, I hope that you know already about form tags. Form tag is through which we can create our form, and there are numerous input tags which we can use. So I have an input tag like type equals to text, and then I have a text area, let's say hello, and then a button. Okay, so input or a button, limit as submit. So the situation is something like this, that the input tag, there is an input tag, then I have a text area tag, and then I have a button tag. Now what I want to do is I want to specify criteria that text area followed by. Now here we will be using this tilde sign and specify button. So what I'm trying to say is, if a button is followed by a text area, then apply the property for the button, and that property would be set the color to as purple. Now, one thing more, this particular uh, this tags must be inside a parent tag. Now, I already have a parent tag here, and that is the form tag. So it is being enclosed in a form tag. So this will work here. If I save it here also and save it here also, you can see the output like the color is purple, okay, after the text area. But what happens if I pull out this button, I pull this out and place it outside the form. Now here if I run the code, the color still remains black. It doesn't turn to purple. Why? Because the reason behind is, when we are applying this using a tilde sign, then all the components must be enclosed in a common parent. They must have a common parent. So here the common parent was form, and as I kept this submit button outside the form, therefore now it is not affecting it. Now once again, if I uh, select this part, I place it inside the form and then run the code, once again it becomes purple. The color becomes purple. Now it is not only the color which you can set the font, you can set the size, you can set text formattings. Now that is what we'll be learning in the later videos of CSS classes. But make it very much sure that when you are applying them using tilde sign is this particular symbol. This particular symbol is your tilde sign. And this tilde symbol, when you are using this, it must be enclosed in a parent. Okay. Otherwise, it can be directly used with the plus symbol if you want. Okay. Now, let's move to the next thing. The next important segment is referred to as the child. Now, I have an order tag here, and now what I want to do is UL is the parent and li is the child of that parent, right? So a symbol greater than symbol indicates that if it is the direct child, okay, this is referred to as your direct child. So the direct child of a UL can have a particular color combination. Like I can set it as color silver. Hope that's a color. Now I would just remove this one, save the code, and then run it for you. Now see, it has turned to silver color. Okay. Now what is happening? If it is a direct child of a UL, then it is turned into silver. But if it is not a direct child of UL, then it will not turn into silver. Okay. Let us take the example further. Now this is a list. Now inside that I am using a OL. Okay. I am creating a list li. Inside this list I am creating a OL tag. Inside this I am again creating a list tag. So this is song. My heart will go on. Something like this. So if I save it now, both the colors are silver. Why? Because this is working. This this particular thing is working here. UN. So this is a child. So Li is being a child of this UL. It is turned into silver. What happens if I remove this? Now I do something different. The thing now I would like to do is a descendant type of thing. Descendant means a descendant of UL will be red. Descendant. Now it's not a direct child, it's subchild. Okay. So UL, this is child, okay, Li, but a descendant will be a simple space. This means Li inside UL. Now that Li can be a direct child or it can be way inside. So this my heart will go on is way inside UL. Okay. So now I would like to change the color to red, let's say. So color red. Save it, run it. So now it is saying red. Now, what is the difference between greater than symbol and space? Greater than symbols does it for the direct child. Okay. And this space includes all the subchilds as well. Now, that is where the difference is all about. Okay. If I change it to OL, then obviously only my heart will go on will turn to red. Otherwise, it will be in general color. So these are some of the major important your selectors which we have to have learned. Now, apart from that, there are some attribute selectors as well. Now, when we are talking about attribute selectors, for example, this is an attribute selector where for example, this class equals to para. Now, this is an attribute. So this H2 can be separately styled. Okay. If I change this thing, currently conclusion has an attribute for para, right? Now, I need to do something for this. I have specified the class as para, but I need to specify something for this, which I already did here using this feature, right? I already wrote it like this. Now, this can be rewritten in a following way. Let me copy this part. H2, that is the tag, and in square brackets, you can specify the attribute name. So class equals to para. And then specify whatever you need to specify. Now, wherever you have specified para as the class name will directly follow this design. So this is a replacement of whatever we have specified here. So either you do it like this or you can do it like this. Okay. So if I remove this part, save the code and run the code, no change happens. Why? Because it's already the same thing which I'm doing in a different way. So instead of this class para, you can specify anything. You can specify ID. You can specify, okay, the image source must be something different. For example, you can say that img, for an img tag, src, if it starts with double dot slash img, then do something like this. What I need to border color, let's say border or set. So there are different properties which we'll be learning in the later classes. So this is some of the uh, types of attribute selectors which you can use instead. So if we discuss and just revise all the selectors now, initially we had three selectors, that is element selector, class selector, ID selector. Now apart from that, we have pseudo selectors, we have advanced selectors categorized into two parts. One is basic advanced selectors, which includes your hover, visited, link, and first child, last child, only child, nth child. And apart from that, we also have this advanced selectors. Sorry, these are all the pseudo selectors. The basic selectors we have H2 plus A, then greater than, tilde sign. These are the advanced selectors, and attribute selectors is where you specify the tag name with the attribute specification. So when the attribute is of a specific type, like for example, if I say I'm talking about input, but what input? When the type is equal to text. They want to do something else. So this is for the text input that I would like to do some changes. So this is how you can create your selectors of your own choice. I hope that this class has benefited you all into understanding the different types of selecting elements, and the basic ones already we discussed in the previous video, but this is something different which we have learned, right? So in the next video, we'll be talking about coloring and formatting specifically, because now it's time to deal with the properties now. So the basic thing is there are three important segments which our design has. The first thing is the selector. This part is referred to as the selector. In the braces, we need to specify the property name and the value. separated by a full colon and ended with a semicolon. Now you can specify more than one attributes or properties in a single block. This particular open and close braces is referred to as a block and selector block. And inside the selector block, you can specify multiple properties. And that is how the CSS or designing is done through CSS. So it's very simple. So I hope that you have understood today's class. Thank you.